and I've talked about this in the E5 method. I talked about this when it comes to putting together your offer, right? It's what they call the reduction to the ridiculous, right? Like this is the equivalent of, of a cup of coffee a day for the next 13 weeks, right? Like you're taking what is a big number and you're reducing it down to a number that is more palatable. In here, when it comes to a proof element, if the way the proof element is being presented, it's too small, we're looking for another way that we can present it. We're reducing the time to look at it to make it a more appealing number. We're not changing the number. We're not lying. We're not right, but we're just presenting it differently. And if there is no way to present it differently, then I'm going to take it out, right? Because it runs the risk of serving as negative social proof. And then for what it's worth in here, I'm just going to point this out, this whole idea that, and the, feedback has been remarkable. Now, assuming for 1 second that this isn't a quote, right? Like if this was a quote from somebody, then we couldn't change their words. But the feedback has been remarkable. Well, again, you've heard me say this before, right? Specificity. What does that mean? Like, and in this context, I'm not even talking about specific, 412 children. I'm just talking about what is feedback. The feedback has been remarkable. Like, what does that mean to me as a as a parent, right? Is it, the feedback is, over 400 children are using this mealtime, and parents are reporting, quote, my child now is the healthiest eater in our entire family, right? Like, in other words, conveying a benefit, just continuing to lay on benefit on top of benefit on top of benefit on top of benefit. And so, there's that. There are two other things that I just want to point out in here that I would improve. So, and sometimes, we've got to, look, you've heard me say this before. I'm going to continue to say this over and over, as a reminder for all of you that, when in doubt, you want to be very direct in what it is that you are promising. Like, I find more and more that marketers are, they're incorporating a unique mechanism, and for whatever reason, the creativity that the big idea, the unique mechanism is sparking in lots of entrepreneurs, lots of marketers, it's leading them to make their copy a little bit more convoluted than what it should be, right? Often just kind of layering on, like they're sharing things that aren't hitting the sweet spot of what it is that their prospects want. And when in doubt, you just want to say it. Right? Like, it's okay. You could still introduce a unique mechanism. You could still say, like, because of the LMNOP formula, but then what you say after that, you'll start to just say it as plainly, as clearly, as concisely, as direct as you possibly can. Use the language that is easiest to understand. That's their language. That's like, it's that promise part, that promise payoff needs to be exactly what it is that they want. So like over here, and then I'm going to go up to the pre-head for a second, right? So how this mealtime tool is transforming children into food scientists who are eating foods they never have before, even the pickiest eaters, without bribing, distracting, or pressuring, right? So the thing that I would point out in here is the way this reads is, right, the very first thing that I read is how this mealtime tool is transforming children into food scientists. And so that's while that's cute, and I get it, the idea. If what it is that we're trying to say to these parents is that your kids will be healthy eaters, your kids will eat on their own healthy foods, your kids will no longer gripe about vegetables or fruits or getting their vitamins or minerals, like your kids will have fun eating the foods that you want them to eat, right? Like, be a great parent as your kids become, as your kids are healthy eaters now, right? We want to get as direct as possible at that, because no parent is concerned about their children being a food scientist. Like, that's cute and it's cool and I get what you're saying and whatnot, but that's not a powerful point to hit if think about a mother who's pressed for time, who's busy, who's working, who's juggling a bunch of different responsibilities, and all she wants is to find a solution desperately to get her kids to eat really well, to eat healthy foods without the crying, without, right, having to bribe them, without having to persuade them, without having to, threaten them with punishment, all that, right? They don't want to hear about, like, my kid's going to be a food scientist, my kid's going to love foods. That's not what is on the forefront of their mind, right? And so you got to remember that the mealtime tool that's being hinted at here is the unique mechanism. You're giving them, right, like there's curiosity here, which is great. There's this hint of a unique mechanism. They want to find out what the mealtime tool is. What happens after, what you say after you present that mealtime tool, right, needs to be their sweet spot. You want parents to say from the headline, that's exactly what I want. Like, that's it. He nailed it. This is perfect for what it is that I am looking for. And so that's, like, again, I just want to say again, when it comes to the promise portion of your appeal, when it comes to the promise portion of your headline, when it comes to the promise portion of your copy, always throughout the whole thing, you want to be as direct, as clear, as concise as possible. You want to use their words. You want to say it in as plain English as you possibly can, right? You want to imagine, like, if you were sitting down at a social gathering and you knew that this mother was struggling to get her kids to eat, we would not say, I've got a mealtime tool for you that's going to turn your kids into food scientists that are eating foods they never. You would cut out that part about the food scientists, and you would probably say something like, I'm going to tell you, like, about this mealtime tool that will, make your kids, healthy eaters, or get your kids eating vegetables, fruits, and other nutritious foods that they never would have had before without you having to bribe them, distract them, persuade them, or pressure them at all. Mealtime will never be the same again for you, and you will feel a huge sense of pride as a mother knowing your kids are nutritious eaters. Hi, my name is blah, 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 or this is Sienna, my 5-year-old daughter, right? Or let me tell you a story about Sienna, my 5-year-old daughter. That's how direct you want to be with it. The last thing that I'll say about this, JMC, is just the use of the word game changing up here, right? Like, this is one of those things where, I don't think that it's an appropriate word choice for this type of setting. I think that, like, up there, I'd probably go with another variation of the promise. Like, I might say something like introducing a mealtime tool, so fun, your kids will love eating the healthiest foods, ... How this mealtime tool, will make your kids love vegetables, fruits, salads, and the most nutritious foods out there they've never tried before, even if they're one of the pickiest eaters, right? Like, that's how I would do it. So again, the thing that I want you guys and gals to think about is with what it is that I just shared with JMC here, is that guns a-blazing coming out in the lead, right? Like, you've got to recognize that people are going to make a decision whether they're going to stay on your page or they're going to bail in seconds. I know that we hear that all the time, and it's said all the time, but often it goes in one ear and out the other, where we kind of like we kind of dance around it a little bit. We kind of, there is a promise in there, but it's mixed in a bunch of kind of fluff, and we're looking to build up right before we get to the goods. It's why you've heard me say before, when I'm creating most campaigns, I would say 90% of campaigns, I guns a-blazing. For me, I come out, the headline has a powerful promise. If I use a subheadline, it teases some sort of promise, creates mystery. I might have a subhead that also expands on that promise a little bit, maybe more curiosity. And then in the lead, I'm getting the promise in here. I'm restating the promise again. You only have seconds to suck them in, to engage them, to hook them. And so you want to come out guns a-blazing, right? Because introducing a game-changing mealtime tool, well, what does that mean? right? Again, what does that mean? Maybe you like, it's different if you said something like, mothers with picky eaters are raving about this, right? Because it tells me that it's for me. If I'm a parent, it tells me that it's about the problem that I have, and it creates a little bit more curiosity. I've got to read on to find out, but it creates enough curiosity because it's conveying a benefit. It's conveying that this is for me. Whereas introducing a game-changing mealtime tool is not. Is that a mealtime tool for busy fathers? Is it for chefs? Is it for is it a physical tool? Like, is it for my, like, how do I know it's for me? And so hopefully that makes sense. The thing that I would tell you again is guns a-blazing, load it up. Don't bury the lead, right? To use a journalism term. Don't bury the lead. Guns a-blazing. Pretend like they are going to decide whether they are going to buy, right? They're going to buy within the first 500 words, because they are. They're going to decide. What I should really say is if they're going to read on, and they'll never hear about your offer if they don't continue to read on. And so that is my my recommendation for you, JMC. Ironically, I could see, even the darker font, the kind of the brighter, the not the weird mushroom thing here. I could see why this one, but this one did better. But I would run a split test the way that I shared on the next variation. And so there you go. Let's go to the next submission. And so the next submission is from Thomas. And so Thomas said, Thomas from Better Trader Academy, came through 2 reviews of a big idea. And this time they progressed to a webinar opt-in, and they're submitting 2 versions of the webinar opt-in page, and they would like me to look at both. And so I had the opportunity to look at both. And so this is one right here, and this is another. You can see that really it is the headline over here that I believe is the difference. Let me just see something here. Busy traders, yeah. Okay. So the very first thing that I would say for this is you want to move the call to action button above the fold. Right. So, and I have, this is a big monitor, the second monitor that I'm using over here, but you want to move the call to action above the fold when possible. And it's almost always possible. You always want to have, when it comes to an opt-in page or a registration page, you always want the call to action above the fold. So sometimes what you can do is you can just take the button and you could move it right, like right over here, for example. Right underneath this section over here, right over here. Another thing that you could do, if you have a longer registration page, like something like this, what you could do is you could have a sticky header bar at the top. So at the top, you could just have literally a bar with the registration button, and when they scroll down, it just stays there, right? So they always have the button to click to register, register their free seat, right now. So with that, let's just take a look at these 2. I already went through this, but I'm gonna read these to you guys very quickly. So the first one says, European hedge fund managers are adapting a little-known combination screening technique from billion-dollar tech companies to create robust trading strategies every single day, and now it's delivering fast results for traders around the world. The next one over here says, new combination screening technique builds robust trading strategies every single day, and now it's delivering fast results for traders around the world. So I can tell you just from these 2, right? Just from these 2, I like this one a lot better. And the funny thing is that, for you guys, the main reason why I like this one much better, right, is because it's simple. Right? Like, it's so simple. New combination screening technique builds robust trading strategies every single day, and now it's delivering fast results for traders around the world. It's just very simple, right? It's rather than like European hedge fund managers are adapting a little-known combination screening technique from billion-dollar biotech companies. There's a lot going on here, right? You've got European hedge fund managers, right? There's the little-known combination screening technique, billion-dollar biotech companies, right? Robust trading strategies, and then the same thing over here. Whereas this is just very simple to understand. You're either interested or you're not, right? And so between the two, I like this one. I like this one much better. Now, this is going on the assumption that, right, that combination screening is the unique mechanism, right? And the big thing here is this. New combination screening technique builds robust trading strategies every single day. So, right, because this is outside of my area of expertise, what I would say is you need to make sure, Thomas, that that's compelling, like that is powerful, right? That's a compelling kind of promise or implied promise, right? Implied benefit, right? Because it's not really a promise as much as it is an implied promise here, right? My gut tells me, like, and again, this is where you know the market better than I do. My gut tells me, right, like I would much rather put in here, profitable trading strategies, like new combination screening technique builds, profitable trading strategies every single day, or new combination screening technique launches profitable trading strategies every single day, right? That's where I naturally would go, but I don't know the market the way you do. And so you just need to make sure that this right here is a powerful, compelling, implied promise for your market.